Okay, so hello, I'm Panos Athanasiou from Deltares, and I'm going to present you some work that we have been doing on projections and uncertainty of sea level rise induced erosion at the European scale. This work that I'm doing for my PhD as well, and several people are involved, as you can see on the bottom. So in Europe, there is a quite high percentage of the population that's actually located near the coast. A lot of infrastructure and a lot of assets. And except that, a big part of the European coastline is comprised sandy beaches, which are erodible. And especially with sea level rise, except the direct inundation that will come from the increase of the water levels, there is some morphodynamic changes that will include an even larger soil-line retreat that will endanger most of the infrastructure that are located near the coast. So a lot of information on where these locations, which are the most vulnerable, are needed in order to make some informed decisions on adaptation options, like, for example, incorporating sand nourishments or setback lines, which will define areas that are safe to build up and build new infrastructure. Most of this information can come from large-scale assessments that take into account climate change indices, like sea level rise in this example, and how this will affect the shorelines in the future. So for sea level rise, in this study, we have used the regional probabilistic sea level rise projections from Jackson and Yevreeva from 2016. These include two RCPs. The RCP 8.5 is actually a high-end one, so it is not entirely based on the IPCC R5 report, but includes an extra component from the Antarctic and Greenland ice sheets, which increase the mean global sea level rise by 2,100 and has increased uncertainties as well. So it, as you can see in the bottom graph, it results in more asymmetric uncertainties. So for these projections, various contributions are included, like the self-attraction, steric sea level rise, and as you can see in Sweden and Finland, the glacial isostatic adjustment. And with the spatial fingerprints that were used in the study, we end up with PDFs across the European coastline that were used to drive our models. Another really important piece of information when we want to do this study at the European scale is the location of the sandy beaches. During the last year, and with the more remote sensing methodology being available, these kind of data sets have become available. An older data set that is available at the European scale is the erosion project from 2004, which gave a qualitative description of the coast and divided the coast to specific morphological types. For our study, we're interested only on the sandy coastlines from the four that you can see on the left map. And a newer study from 2018 that was conducted by Deltares used satellite images to derive the location of sandy beaches around the globe, actually. So we used this data set as well, the European scale, to identify the extents and spatial location of sandy coasts around Europe. Another really important piece of information in this sea level rise driven erosion of the coastline is the actual coastal slope of the coast. So far as this information was not available in the large scale, some simplified assumptions were used in previous studies, assuming that the slope is uniform and it's 1 in 100. Through this project, we made available a new data set, which gives actually this spatial distribution, as you can see in this figure, of the coastlines. And as you would expect in the Mediterranean, especially Greece, you have steeper slopes, while in the North Sea or France, you have kind of milder slopes, which are really important on being able to predict how the shoreline will change. And we made the publication as well out of this data set and some analysis on the data set itself, as you can see here last year. So to how we built the framework, we have information, 2 data sets on the sandy beach location, nearshore slopes, as I presented now, and sea level rise projections through time for the century. And they are coming in the form of probabilities, PDF functions for each point through the years. So as you can see here, we have mainly 4 input parameters in our model, which all induce some uncertainty. Uncertainty related to which RCP we're going to use for the future and how the models predict the actual sea level rise along the coastline, and uncertainties with respect to the choice of the data sets that we're using, because at this scale, we cannot really have observations or realizations. So we have to use remote sensing techniques, which obviously cannot 100% describe the actual location or the actual characteristics of the coast. So using this model, we were able to predict how the shoreline will respond to the increase in the sea level rise for each location around Europe, with a resolution of 1 kilometer along the coastline. In this picture, you can see some of the results using a specific combination of the data. On the 4 maps, you can see the results for the 2 RCP, 4.5 and 8.5, at the mid of the century and at the end of the century. As you can see, there is quite some spatial variability in the potential shoreline retreat. So the colors here indicate how much the shoreline will recess vertically, so on a transect of its profile along the coastline. As you can see, in the Mediterranean coast, the highest shoreline retreat can be spotted in the Adriatic coast, where the slopes are kind of milder, while in North Sea, France, we see quite increased shoreline retreat as well. You can see as well how the European average of this index will change through the century for the 2 RCPs. And actually, we can see that the median values will be around 97 meters on average around Europe for RCP 8.5 and around 54 meters for RCP 4.5. As I mentioned, the spatial variability is quite increased when we're using this new coastal slope information, which is something that so far was not taken into account in previous assessments, and can really increase the information that we have and how they can be translated to regional information that could be used for coastal zone management, for example. While this coastal retreat could translate to almost 2,500 square kilometers loss with RCP 8.5 over all of Europe. You can see some areas of Europe here that are not included, for example, in Croatia, and this has to do with there was no availability of geophysical information on these areas. When we take this land loss and we plot it at the regional level, so here you can see the NUTS 3 regions as defined by Eurostat along the European coastline. It's even more relevant for coastal zone management, and it's easier to identify local hotspots of areas that are more vulnerable to this shoreline retreat due to sea level rise. Especially, we can spot in this map areas in Adriatic coast, Lithuania, Latvia, and the North Sea coast, for example, Belgium and the north part of France. So as I mentioned before, doing this analysis, 4 main parameters were used. Most of the times in previous assessments of coastal impacts, especially focused in shoreline retreat, the uncertainty of the sea level rise projections were mainly taken into account. With our framework, we could actually compare this uncertainty to epistemic uncertainty that's related to the available datasets that we have right now. So obviously, these kind of datasets can be improved when better methodologies and remote sensing state-of-the-art evolves, and this uncertainty can be reduced. But with the information that we have right now, we were able to at least make a comparison of how these uncertainties compare to each other. I will try to be a little faster. In order to do that, we used a variance-based global sensitivity analysis, where we used Monte Carlo simulations for each of the areas in order to identify how much of the variance is explained by each parameter. Doing that for all the countries, we could see that the attribution of the different uncertainties can change quite a lot from country to country, as you can see in this map. So these are all relative contributions, so they add up to 1. Blue colors indicate the information from the near coastal slopes. The orange color indicates the uncertainty related to the location of the sandy beaches, while green colors the RCP and red colors the sea level rise projection. On average, we could see that by 2050, this epistemic uncertainty, the uncertainty related to the geophysical datasets that we use, can account to almost 45%, which drops to 26% by the end of the century, which is a quite increased amount of uncertainty, and means that if we improve these kind of methods, we can decrease quite a lot the variance in our projections. As you can see, except the European average, there are quite some groups where one source of uncertainty dominates over the other. For example, in locations like Poland or Italy, where the geophysical datasets agree quite a lot, the RCP and sea level rise projections dominate the variance in our solar line retreat projections, while in other areas, like, for example, Estonia or Germany, where our datasets do not agree that much, the uncertainty from the geophysical processes is dominating. To conclude, this kind of information, both the actual projections of shoreline retreat, identifying regions around the European coastline that are mostly vulnerable to sea level rise and sandy beach land loss, can be quite important in identifying areas that more high-resolution modeling approaches should be focused to identify other sources of coastal retreat and erosion, and give some more information for adaptation strategies. Additionally, the uncertainty analysis that I just showed can provide quite some information on how countries should actually improve their observations and how this can contribute to having better estimates of these impact projections. For this study, we're collaborating with quite a lot with JRC, and all of these informations actually can directly relate to the EU strategy on adaptation climate change. Furthermore, our sandy beaches are the first buffer layer and protection layer to coastal flooding as well. Sandy beach loss can really show areas that are going to be more vulnerable to coastal flooding as well. And furthermore, a lot of sandy beaches are in areas which are nature protected areas, either with respect to the Natura EU database or the Habitats Directive. With this work and expanding in a global scale, we actually published last week a paper in Nature Climate Change, which I could share with anyone that is interested, that looks into this kind of assessment on how sandy beaches will be affected by climate change in the future. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions? I can't see any hands or anything in the chat. Oh, Jason?
Yeah, just a very quick one. So I noticed when you looked at the breakdown of the different sources of uncertainty, clearly at some locations the distribution of sea level rise was quite large. I think Poland is one of those examples. Have you run a version of this that uses an alternative to the Jackson and Jarajeva study? Because they take a particular approach to including the high-end rises that some may consider a bit on the high side.
Yes, that's a really good question. So far, we didn't take into account any other sea level rise projections, but that would be an interesting next step to see how much this will affect the results in the uncertainty. And maybe we can connect with that with the work that Work Package 2 is doing.
Thank you.
Yep.
Freya? Am I muted? Freya?
No.
Now I'm unmuted, I think. I'm just wondering how does the work in VP4 relate to the multi-user forum? So would there be people in the multi-user forum who are kind of thought of as target users for this particular activity?
So,
this is partly related actually to Jason's previous question, because I think a matter of, like, one question when it comes to specifying the uncertainty is also asking about the level of, you know, given that this is more like a pan-European view, let's say, of the situation, is not really targeting like a specific location. Potentially, one can live with the given uncertainty. I'm not saying you should not look at this other sea level rise data set. That's not what I'm saying, but.
Yeah, like if I understand correctly your comment, right now we're starting with the European assessment, but since we actually do the analysis at the regional level, we perform this uncertainty analysis at this level that I showed here, the NUTS 3 regional level.
No, I understand. I think my question goes a little bit towards maybe before delving much deeper into the uncertainty from your point of view. Yeah. It might be good to understand the targeted user point of view, whichever user that might be.
Perhaps linking to risk aversion of the user.
Exactly, something like that.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. Right now, we are mainly getting feedback from JRC on how they can use these kind of results and how European Commission actually can take advantage of these results. And,
yeah, but can I butt in before you explain any more? Because to me, that's a valid user. There might not be too many of them, since they represent the pan-European region. But
yeah.
You know, that is already talking to a user. So
yeah. I understand your point of view. This is, let's say, the first phase as well, because these results can be used for more localized, let's say, projections as well, which don't include only sea level rise induced erosion, but take into account extremes as well, so storm erosion. But still, this can feed in these, let's say, localized projections and higher resolution studies. So it's, let's say, the first phase. That's why it's upscaled to all of Europe, that can feed in more local case studies that can take into account more information and provide more informed, let's say, coastal zone management data.
I think there's a point here for Jens to think about that we can pick up later, specifically how we do link across to some of the more local users, and can we match more of the people on the multi-user forum to the case studies that we'll actually have